Hey, fellow e-commerce owners and e-commerce growth hackers. I'm super excited for this video as I'm going to share with you the exact strategy that I've used to scale a brand from 27K a month to 893K per month within 30 days, right? So a real hyper scaling case study that made a lot of noise in some circles. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how we did it, actually. It's a recording of a mastermind where I got invited to talk about this case study, break it down, make it really valuable so that you can implement it on your own. And yeah, I hope you get a lot of value out of it. It was post iOS 14, so right when iOS 14 hit. So very, very interesting, even if there was no tracking basically. But we still managed to do it with some principles that are still exactly the same that we use. So hopefully you find it valuable. If you do so, make sure to like and subscribe. Will mean the world to me. I'm sharing valuable content like this every week. So yeah, also there's a free course linked where you can learn those basic principles to get there, to get to a state where you can hyperscale actually. So yeah, let me know what you think of it in the comments. If you have any questions, I'm going to answer all of them. So enjoy. Cheers. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for having me, first of all. Really excited to share some crazy stuff that we did in December. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here and let's jump right in. Today I'm going to present to you the belief-breaking way how we profitably hyperscaled an e-commerce brand from 27K to 893K a month in just 30 days. Still crazy to look at those numbers, and it might trigger something like, what was happening there? And but I will break it down so that it's really relatable and it's actionable for you, so that you can take it away and really implement stuff on your own. Yeah, those are basically the numbers. We had 27K in the month before the crazy scaling, and then we scaled up to 893K. So it's basically a 32x in 30 days. And yeah, you might be asking, like, this is the whole curve. This was before and this is after. You might be wondering, okay, why did we go down? We basically went out of stock, or the client went out of stock. So we kind of broke their supply chain. They couldn't deliver anymore, so we had to downscale. Yeah, but I will walk you through those phases and how we got there, and yeah, also like the main takeaways that you can implement. My goal for this presentation is not to brag with big numbers, because this wouldn't be very valuable to you. My goal is for you to really understand how we got there and deeply believe that it's still possible to hyperscale or scale profitably post iOS. Even if you don't have all of the data that we used to have, it's still possible, and this presentation should be the way to it. I've written there a 3x, so it's kind of a challenge for everybody that has an e-commerce to really, take some stuff from this presentation and implement it. So I will ask every one of you in 2 or 3 months. Okay, all right, who's ready for some uncommon strategies that can lift your e-commerce? I see Manel there. Okay, thank you. There you go. Okay, first of all, my name is Marcus. I'm the founder and CEO of Leverage Consulting. It's a boutique e-commerce growth hacking agency This is my way, my short way to e-com scaling. First of all, I tried stuff by myself. I had a postcard business where I got all of my family to package the products and stuff, like crazy times. And I tried it by myself, but burned a lot of money because I thought, well, it's simple. I just set up a Shopify and I run some ads, and then all the money was gone. And you know how this goes. Yeah, but then I started to realize, okay, it could make sense to gather know-how first and then start again. And that's what I did. So that's how I came here to Patrick and learned from the best of the best, still learn from the best of the best. Yeah, I was failing a lot. I had some client successes then along the way. And this turned out to be, yeah, leverage consulting, where I leveraged this know-how into a boutique agency and build an A-team around that. That's cool for me, but what's in it for you? That's the question. So I want you to take away those three main pillars. And those are absolutely crucial. In my opinion, there is no way to hyperscale when you don't have those three points implemented. First one being the number one metric to optimize your funnel. We're going to talk about funnel optimization. The next pillar is that you have to have a way of finding a winning creative. We don't want to make it just like a gambling game to maybe hit a winning creative. We want a concrete process on how we get to a winning creative, and also in an efficient way. The third thing will be to implement a data-driven scaling strategy. And this is really not about emotions and, you know, oh, this looks good, maybe you will increase the budget. We really want to have a data-driven decision-making process. Okay, a little disclaimer, this is not for bad products. So this will not fix a bad product or a bad product experience. This works best for products that are really valuable to your target audience and that provide value. So bad products are just not made for hyperscaling, in my opinion. Okay, let's start with the number one metric to optimize your funnel. Here's what most say, and this is a pattern you will see throughout the whole presentation. Like, I will always start with, okay, this is the current belief or what I get, like most of the times, what I hear. And then I will just show you what we did and the results that we got from what we did, and you can decide on your own what you believe after that. Okay, hyperscaling is all about fancy bidding strategies. In the ads manager, you have to be a media buying genius in order to pull this off. Here's what we did. First of all, we didn't even think of any crazy bidding strategies or you know, strategies in the ads manager scaling. We first looked at how can we optimize the funnel. So we prioritized funnel optimization over scaling techniques. And the most important metric with this is the revenue per visit, because at the end of the day, we wanted to know when we send someone to our Shopify store, in this case, or your e-commerce store in general, I want to know how much revenue am I making per visit. Because what we do at the end of the day as media buyers, we buy visits to our store, and we want to know how much revenue do we generate with each visit. And it's a pretty simple formula. We have the AOV, the average order value, and we have the conversion rate. And Manal was talking about that earlier. What is easier to optimize? You could either optimize the conversion rate or the average order value. What we found is that it's way easier to start by optimizing the AOV rather than the conversion rate. Like, of course, we look at the basics of conversion rate, optimization, if we can do some quick fixes, but at the end of the day, the biggest leverage for us is always the AOV. And here's exactly how we did it. Of course, we didn't say we didn't sell burgers, but I think you get the point. First, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a journey that every customer is going through. And we were thinking of ways to implement upsells along this journey. So first, people come to the product page. So we were thinking, okay, we could offer just one product, or we could offer the same product just in 3 variants. So what we did is super simple. Instead of offering one variant, we had one product, 2 products at a little discount, 3 products at an even bigger discount. Okay? Obviously, you have to look if this makes sense with your product, you know, to buy multiple ones at the first purchase. Then next thing is we had pre-cart cross-sells. So we looked at, okay, what other products, what product variants could be interesting to buy with the product, the main product. This is something that is right before you go to the checkout. It's kind of like a pop-up coming up where you can just offer, for example, a different color that you can purchase with the product, or just a product that makes sense to buy with. And the third thing are post-purchase upsells. So what we did there mostly is to offer a bigger bundle of products at a higher price point and with a discount. Exactly. Cool. And this is the result. We started with an AOV of 40 with a conversion rate of 5%. This is like simplified numbers just to not have too many commas and stuff there. And what we did is we increased the AOV from 40 to 70. And our revenue per visit jumped up by 60%. And this is, we did all of this before scaling big budgets. And this is exactly what enables us to have way more room to scale at the end of the day. Okay? So assuming that we have the same cost per visit, like it costs €1 to get a visit to our store, in both cases, we're ending up with almost, a little bit over 100% lift in revenue per visit. So what are your action steps from the first pillar? What doesn't work when it's small won't work when it's big. So there's no way of scaling something and just by increasing the budget, your AOV will jump up. This will not happen. So it's mandatory to make sure that before you scale big budgets, you make it work on a low scale. Okay? So be a funnel optimizer before being a media buyer. I see that a lot of times that people, especially media buyers, tend to want to jump into the ads manager to fix it there and do some crazy manual bidding strategies and stuff. This is interesting, but this will not fix funnel problems. So fix this first and then go for bigger budgets. Cool. Next thing, how to find the winning creative. What I hear a lot, especially when I show people this case study, is they say, okay, it takes a gazillion creatives and it's a super complex process, and you know, you have to always renew your creatives every day. Here's what we did. Basically, we had 2 main creatives and with 10 variations each, and that was it throughout the whole scaling process. Now is the question, okay, how did we do this? We did this by trying to approach it in a smarter way. What I see a lot of times is that people jump straight to, you know, we have to have creatives. Okay, let's shoot videos, let's do UGC, let's do all of this stuff, cut different videos. And while this is all necessary, it's very resource intensive. Okay, you have to invest a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy in producing this content. So when I'm looking at it from an investment perspective, I want to know that every dollar, every time that I spend on those creatives, I want them to go into the right direction. Okay? So we basically split this process up to say that we have the message right first, and then we go into more complex content. I will show you in a second. But what we do first always is to do research. Okay? So we look at the reviews, post comments, product features, post-purchase surveys. We go on forums. Like our main goal is to understand, why do people buy this product? What do they value about the product? And why are they not buying the product? So what is holding them back from buying the product? And the result of this process is that we end up with advertising messages, okay? So this is just like a look into how we do this. Like we basically have a form, a Google form, where we collect all of this research data from all of those sources and put it together. And we end up with motivations, like why do people buy those products, this product, what do they value about the product, and also the anxieties, like what holds them back. Another thing that we do is that we have quotes, and this is really interesting, because what we do there is we basically take literally what the people say in a comment, for example, or on a review, and we take this and use it as an advertising message. So the goal of this whole process is not for us to come up with some genius idea of how we describe the product, but it's more to listen to the customers, to listen to the target audience, and flip it around. You know, we show them what they value about the product in their own words. Next thing, okay, now we have those advertising messages. What do we want to do? We want to test them against each other to determine winning messages. So this is a super simple process that not a lot of people do, but this is what we did in this case also. Basically, we had the message, we had an image of the product, and if you have, you can use social proof here. And it's just a little border around it. And those were the creatives that we started with. Just simple image creatives, no video, no UGC, no nothing. And the cool thing about it is that it doesn't take a lot of time. Like, even if you don't have huge graphic skills, you can do it on your own. You have your 10, 15 messages, and you just put them in there. And what that does is it enables us to determine, okay, this message works better than the other one. Even if we don't hit our targets right away, even if it's, you know, not the best creative that we could do, we still know, okay, it makes sense to use message number 1 and do more complex content instead of using the other messages that didn't perform. Yeah, and in this case, what was funny is actually one of those images ended up being the creative that, you know, that we used throughout the whole scaling phase. Okay, then we have the winning messages. As I said, after that, after this testing, this lean testing, we go into the winning messages and produce better content, you know, like video content, and we try to really emphasize this message in other content formats. And the last thing is also virality. This is something that we see more and more often, that the algorithm prefers creatives that have a lot of engagement. Manel touched on this also earlier. And this is something that we saw, but the interesting thing for you is, what did we do with it? Basically what we said, once I saw, okay, this thing is going viral, I talked to the client and I told them, okay, we have to own the comment section. So what we have to do is we have a 2-minute policy for responding to comments. So within 2 minutes, they responded to the comment, in best case with a question, so that the people responded once again. So we always had traction, and this really boosted the creatives and the longevity of the creatives. Results, over 70% of the revenue was made with only 2 post IDs. So not just creatives, but really post IDs. And what we did then in the scaling, which you will see in a second, is that we used this post ID to really, you know, duplicate our campaigns. Okay, what are your action steps? You're only one creative away from scaling to the moon and back, so it doesn't take 100, 200 creatives. This is not necessarily the way. Spend a lot of time and resources finding this creative and have like a smart process on how to get to this creative without spending a lot of money, time, energy. Okay? Also support the virality. So when you see something is blowing up, you can even emphasize this. You know, you can even scale this engagement throughout this process. And now we get to some more geeky stuff, more ad buying stuff. This is what most people say. So they say it's not possible, you know, post iOS, it's getting so hard, and we don't have the right data in the ads manager. That's what I hear all the time. Here's what we did. We doubled, tripled, 10x campaigns multiple times a day that weren't even break even in the ads manager. So this means we saw with the data that Facebook gave us, we saw that, you know, we would basically burn money, yet we still scaled those campaigns. How did we do this? Okay, let's play a little what would you do here. Let's say the target CPA in this case is 30. Okay, we have two campaigns, campaign A, campaign B. This is the data that Facebook gives us. We have a CPA of 50 euros, campaign A, 20 euros in campaign B. Now, little exercise. Who would scale campaign A? Hand signs? Okay. Who would scale campaign B? There you go. Okay. Of course, you would scale campaign B, you would downscale campaign A. Now, we have the same campaigns, but we have additional data tracked outside of Facebook. And I will show you how we did it and where the data came from. But let's just assume we have two more data sources that tell us a different CPA. So this is the same campaign, same two campaigns, same question. Who would scale campaign A? Who would scale campaign B? Oh, well, that was faster. Yeah. Okay, of course, you would upscale campaign A, you would downscale campaign B. So this is interesting because those are the same two campaigns, but our decision making changes drastically when we have another data source that tells us, you know, or tracks more sales. So here's how we did it. We basically attached this thing to all ads. And you can take a picture if you want to. I will walk you through it. It's basically what we did. We used dynamic UTMs to attach information about the ad that is bringing the click and also the sale. So this is the first thing that we did. And for example, here we had, the first one is not that important. We had the campaign name, campaign ID, ad set ID, ad set name, also ad ID and ad name. And what that allows you to do is, in this case it was a Shopify store, you can do it also with WooCommerce or whatever system you're using. But we looked into one report which is under analytics, reports, session attributed to marketing. And there you can see all of the sales for each UTM snippet or UTM campaign name, for example, in this case, that was made. So you have, and on this side you have all the sessions that converted, so all of your sales, the conversion rate, add to carts, everything that you need to know. What we saw here is that only about 60% of the sales were tracked with the UTMs. Yet we knew that 100% of the sales had to come from Facebook because we didn't have any other source.
Markus,
can
you show again where you found this, or where we can find the report?
The report?
Yes.
Yeah, it's under Analytics, Reports, and then just on the right corner somewhere, it's Sessions Attributed to Marketing. Okay, now we have this. But this wasn't enough because we were tracking about 60% of the sales. It was good, but the thing is we didn't have any information in the ads manager. So this is a tracking that you can do, but you don't have information flowing back to your ads manager. So what do? We use offline conversions. What are offline conversions? Offline conversions are basically you take the event, the purchase event, and you push it back to Facebook so that Facebook knows and can magically attribute a sale to an ad. So this enables you to have the data back in the ads manager, not 100% once again, but partly. So we just use Zapier, super simple SAP. The trigger is a new order in Shopify, so a new purchase. Then you go to the offline event set in Facebook and push back the sale. Yeah, and that way we had this data in the ads manager. Those are all custom metrics, but I mean, this is you guys are smart, you will figure this out, but this is just about having the data back in the ads manager. Okay, what is really cool that almost nobody knows or nobody uses is that you have the breakdowns back for the offline conversions. Not for all of the sales, but you can then use this data once again, just like in the old days, where you knew, okay, you have the gender and placement breakdown and age breakdown and whatever. And we use this information to also adjust our targeting. Yeah, and then it gets a little geeky. Because right now we have two data sources, okay? No, actually we have three. We have Facebook's, what Facebook said, but honestly we didn't look at this data anymore. So we just use those two sources. We use the offline conversions and the UTMs. The problem is those two sources are kind of trustworthy in their own cosmos, but we couldn't determine the overlap. So we cannot just throw them all together because we would have duplicates there. So what we said is, okay, we trust those two sources, but we use the minimum CPA that is tracked. So the source that tracks more sales, this is the source that we use as the final CPA. Yeah, so that's how we came up with the concept of this minimum CPA. And then there's the next thing, that we know those two sources didn't track 100% of the sales. So we saw that we tracked around 60% of the sales, and that's where we came up with the concept of the blended CPA, which means we just adjust the CPA that we tracked with a little factor. Okay, so you basically take the CPA that you have and multiply it by the factor, and that's how we came up with the blended CPA. And this is the CPA that we used to to determine or set our decisions. And this is an example. Don't get confused by all of those numbers. The most important is we have the minimum CPA, and then we have the blended CPA here. And you can see in this case we have break-even CPA that we have there, also target CPA, and in this case we even did like some little actions, rules actually, how we increase or decrease the budget. Okay, this is all micro. We're talking about campaigns and how to adjust the budget on campaign level, which is important, but also what we want to look at is the macro. And this is where we use the MER, the marketing efficiency ratio, revenue divided by total spend across all channels. In this case, we only had Facebook as a real channel, a little bit of Google, but not really significant. And we use this to determine, okay, how hard can we scale? For example, when we have like a very, very high MER early on, we knew that we can push the budgets even more aggressively. Yeah, this is the sheet that we used. also super simple. Like you see, it's very hacky, no fancy tools. It's just us, Google Sheets, and some data coming from different sources. So you can do it even if you don't have like a huge, crazy setup. Yeah, and those were the results. Like we scaled profitably from around 200 euros a day spent at the beginning to almost 30K a day in spent. Just with this setup that I showed you right now. So what are your action steps? It's very important to track the conversions outside of Facebook and to make more informed decisions. Use dynamic UTMs, offline conversions, and also use minimum CPA as a micro metric to adjust the budgets in your campaigns, and also MER as a macro metric. Okay, then this is what most people say, or what I hear a lot is don't ever break the learning phase, scale CBOs only 30% a day max, and don't duplicate campaigns. Here's what we did. We broke the learning phase multiple times a day in almost every CBO or ABO running, scaled budgets up to 1,000% within hours, and had over 50 scaling duplicates. So we basically broke all of those rules. And yeah, once again, a little example. What would you do in this case? We have 3 campaigns once again, only focus on the CPA. Break-even CPA is 45 euros in this case. Target CPA is 30 euros. So who would scale campaign A? Bernhard? The only one? Okay. Oh, okay, it's a little bit, you have to, you know, adjust a little bit. But at the end of the day, you would scale campaign A, you would downscale campaign B, and you would turn off campaign C. So we always looked at, you know, where is the break-even CPA, when do we lose money, and what is actually our target. So we didn't, like, our goal was not to hit the break-even CPA, but the target CPA, which means in this target CPA, we already have a certain margin calculated into. So yeah, here's how we did it. Basically, this is the simplified version of the rules that we used in order to achieve all of this. So first, micro, we looked at the CPA. So when the CPA was lower than the break-even CPA, we would turn off campaigns because they would just lose money. When the CPA is lower than the target CPA, we decrease the budget. Then we had a little, you know, special rule where we said, actually, when we are 10% lower or 10% higher than the target CPA, we still want to increase the budget because we want to have like a very clear decision. Is it a winner or is it a loser? And same thing, of course, with increasing the budget. Macro, as I said earlier, it's about the MER. Depending on the day, and this is really something that we saw on a day-to-day basis, the MER can fluctuate very, very strong. So we're talking about surfing waves. So when we have a very positive signals early on, we can push way more aggressively. And when we see, okay, the MER is not on target right now, we would also downscale completely or turn off campaigns completely. Duplication. When we found a winning creative or audience creative combination, we basically went crazy, which is like, I wouldn't do it the same way once again, because it was a crazy amount of work managing 50 campaigns at the same time. But what we did basically at the beginning is that we duplicated what was working 25 times and just saw, okay, what will stick, what will work, and we'll go with that and turn off everything else. So one of our dear friends, Manuel Luther, Manel, you know him, exactly, he introduced me to this what he calls the fisherman scaling strategy. It's a really, really cool concept, because what it is basically, he says like every day is another auction. And this is also what we saw. Like with the same setup, you can have one day that is working extremely well, and the next day the performance just drops for whatever reason. For example, a lot of people are in the auction and it's just not the day. So what we did is we started, like imagine you have a sea where you want to fish, okay? And you send out every day lots of small boats into the sea. And you see, like after 2 hours, for example, you call every boat and you ask, okay, how much fish did you get? And then you look, okay, there will be fishes, there will be boats where they fish a lot of fish, and there will be boats where they won't fish a lot of fish. So what you do is you pull back those boats that didn't fish a lot, and you push bigger boats to where there's a lot of fish. And this is basically the strategy that we ran every 2 to 3 hours to see, okay, what campaign is performing well? Okay, we give more budget there. What campaigns are not performing well? Okay, we take budget out of it. So it's about really finding the audience buckets that work best.
With the same
exact same setup,
yeah.
Exact same post ID, by the way.
Ah, yes.
So we basically had one post, and everything just pointed to this one post. All of the duplicates. Yeah, those are the results. Like this way we increased the spend by 6 times within 7 days. Okay, your action steps. Stop acting emotionally when making optimization decisions. This was a failure that we had earlier on. Like we were just looking at the data and, oh, this looks good. Okay, let's increase by, I don't know, just however I feel right now, I'm just increasing the budget. So what really helped us is to have clear rules. What do we do when this and that happens? Because it's a more centralized decision making. Instead of making decisions 10 times a day, you just make them once and adjust your rules accordingly. And it makes it super easy to optimize and optimize quickly. Yeah, and what's also very important is that you need the guts to push the pedal to the metal when you see that it's working. Like when you hit your targets or you're way beyond your targets, you know, don't just stick with the profits that you have right now, but have the guts to push the budget even more in order to increase the overall sales. Yeah, so here's what we've covered. Basically, first of all, get your funnel right, optimize your funnel, maximize the revenue per visit, then spend a lot of time and resources in finding the right creative, the winning creative. I showed you the process, lean message testing, so don't invest too much money, energy in perfect content. First, validate your messages and then invest in content. Then also use dynamic UTMs, offline conversions, get your tracking outside of Facebook right. And lastly, as I said, have the courage to push the budget when everything looks right. But most important, don't believe you know, anybody that says, well, it's not possible anymore, iOS 14, tracking issues. There are ways, and I think I've shared all of them that I know with you so far. So yeah, now you got everything to scale those e-commerces. Yeah, if you want the whole case study, I've written like a 20-minute read, something like that, a PDF, so you can just send me, like ping me on I don't know, LinkedIn or in the networking pauses, and I can send it to you so you can read through it, you know, in silence at home. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for your attention.